Hi. Okay, so I wanted to get to my other part of uh my channel, which is the reading part. A long time ago, I started reading a book called Real, and you can still go back and get chapter 1 from me. So I am going to start in chapter 2 because the it seems silly to do chapter 1 again. And so I'm just going to go on to the next chapter, and you can actually watch that chapter. So the next chapter is called Charity Case. My eyes darted from wall to wall. Nothing, all the details of the chapel by the sea. Light beamed through the stained glass windows, shining kaleidoscope on the altar. Every color of the dress and suit decorated the long oak benches. We sat near the back in the case we needed to make a speedy exit. Mom was already sniffling at the idea of her little sister getting married. I hope Elvie doesn't start crying when she walks down the aisle. Yeah, Dad whispered. She's probably wearing a metric ton of mascara, so it wouldn't look pretty. He barely escaped Mom's elbow in the ribs, but I noted the concern of her mouth trying not to smile. Oh, the corners of her mouth trying not to smile, sorry. My sixth sense told me Aunt Elvie felt more pity than love toward me, and it was hard to tell who she pitied more, me or Mom. I noted Elvie's frown whenever Mom had to help me do something. Sad to say, I needed a lot of help. Many tasks that seemed simple are like mountains I struggle to climb. I cannot cut my food or button my pants or go to the bathroom without support. A typical teenager would say my life, sucked. Sucked. I do not use that word, even in my head, because Graham does not like it. She sweetly scolds random teenagers whenever she visits Dad's surf shop. Honey, we don't say something sucks. We say it vacuums vigorously. They do not understand the joke, so they usually stare at her like she is from another planet. Me too. I do not understand things sometimes. For example, my Aunt Elvie. 1. Why does she listen to music that sounds like an owl screeching in a bowling alley during a thunderstorm? 2. Why does she bring a black lace parasol when she goes with us to a baseball game? If it rains, the lace will be useless to keep her dry. 3. Why do all her friends have so many skull tattoos? I could go on. But I understood why Aunt Elvie did not want me at her wedding. She was probably afraid I would mess it up with my icky, yucky, stinky autism. For weeks, she hinted this to my mom. 5 days before the wedding, they had a face-off in our kitchen. You don't get it. It's my big day, Gail. I want it to be perfect. Sitting in the kitchen at the kitchen table, Elvie blew her cat black bangs out of her eyes, heavy with red eyeliner. She scrunched her mouth into a pucker, while her white powdered face and blood red lips, she looked like a vampire from one of Dad's favorite classic horror movies. Elvie is Mom's youngest sister. I noted that with a slight rearrangement of letters, her name would be Evil. Elvie kept complaining while Mom chopped onions for chili. The smell attacked my nose, and my mouth complained with a loud "Arr!" You want a fan on, honey? Mom was pretty good at interpreting my noises. My eyes followed the rhythm of the fan blades spinning around and around, round and round. Watching things spin fills my brain with peace. My body stood and spun with the blades. Spin, 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 spin. Even though she's an adult, Elvie could whine as high as a 2-year-old next door when his popsicle dropped on the driveway. I mean, geez, you're my big sister. You're supposed to be up with me, not babysitting your kid in the audience. Her squeaky voice scratched my eardrums. I stopped spinning. Mom flashed Elvie a look of warning. Her teeth smiled, but she was like a cobra ready to bite. Mom had told Elvie a total of 18 times, "Don't talk about my kid right in front of my kid." Lots of adults do that, though. Hypothesis? Because my mouth cannot speak words, people think my ears cannot hear them. "We've discussed this," Mom said, smiling in my direction. I can't be in the wedding because I need to be with Charity." The fact that the bridesmaids' dresses were the color of an orange hazmat suit might have had something to do with it, too. Elvie kept complaining till her voice reached frequencies of only dogs could hear. "But Gail, couldn't you just hire a dang sitter? I mean, even if she doesn't make a scene, I don't want Joel's relatives to feel uncomfortable. They don't have any retarded people in their family." And there it was, the R word, coming from my own aunt. That's when Mom lost it. "Listen to me, Elvie." She pointed the chef's knife towards her sister's face. "Don't you ever call my daughter that. She has more smarts in her little finger than anyone I know. Charity is a member of this family, and she's been excluded from important occasions for more times than I can count. From now on, it's all of us or none of us." Mom stabbed the knife into the cutting board. "Your choice." Elvie snatched her velvet black purse and marched away. When she reached the door, she turned and hissed, "Fine." That's why I love my mom. Knowing that Mom fought for me to come to the wedding, I felt more pressure to stay in control. Unfortunately, when I'm nervous, my unpredictable body usually does the opposite of what I want. And when I'm really nervous, my insides boil like hot water in a kettle until I pop my top in a massive kettle explosion. I put my hands on the wooden bench beneath me and felt it vibrate from a church organ playing Mozart. A song called Ave Verum Corpus, which means "Hail, True Body." I first heard this on Mom's classical music station 3 years ago. May 4th, to be exact. The chords flowed around my own imperfect body like the swirling, bubbling water of Graham's whirlpool tub. For a few seconds at least, the music calmed me. In front of us sat my cousin Mason and my stylish Aunt Kiki. A tiny purple hat was perched on top of her head. I watched its feathers dance in the air. I noted Mason peering at me over his shoulder. Apparently, this silly pink dress does not make me look normal. Dad handed me my lucky sea glass, made smooth and round by tumbling ocean waves. We found it on the beach last spring, the color of blue crab among all the brown, boring stones. Rolling it in my fingers kept me from biting my knuckles. Rolling my lucky sea glass. One by one, neon orange bridesmaids drifted down the aisle. "Should have brought our sunglasses," Dad whispered. Rolling my lucky sea glass. The music paused. The organist hammered the opening notes for the bridal chorus. Pounding chords shook the whole church. I covered my ears. Everyone looked back to see Elvie wearing a black wedding dress fitted tight to her tiny waist with a ball gown skirt. I imagined how the silky fabric felt on her skin. Her dark hair was draped over her bare shoulders. A heavy silver necklace was sparkling around her throat. She beamed as she marched down the aisle on Pops's arm. She glanced at me for a nanosecond. I held my breath. I am the statue of a perfectly normal child. Roll, roll, rolling my Lucky Sea glass. My perfect pose was broken by a man in a frilly black pirate shirt who pushed into our row. His musky cologne made me want to barf my morning oats. Acid gurgled up into my throat as all my senses overloaded. I did not want Dad to take me out already. I had to get through this so Mom could give Elvie the tiniest "I told you so" look at the reception. I breathed through my mouth. Stay strong, Charity. Once Elvie arrived at the altar, the organ stopped. The whole church got quiet. Pin dropped silent. My stomach tightened. Get me out of here. Even after so many explosions over the years, in classrooms, movie theaters, grocery stores, restaurants, losing control here would be embarrassing beyond calculation. Elvie's big day, 100 people sitting silently in church. I can do this. My body rocked back and forth, and that silly Pinocchio song played on repeat in my head. Rock, 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 rock. Fact: wishing upon a star does not work. I have tried, and far as I know, no one has a magic talking cricket. Rock, 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 rock. Keep a lid on the kettle. Lots of times I can stay in control. It's just so much harder when the pressure is high. My meltdown would ruin it for my mom and dad, too. We could never be invited anywhere ever again. My body rocked back and forth, back and forth. Page 259. The great white shark has sharp triangular teeth to tear up flesh. The lace on my collar bit into my neck. My hands shook. They begged to rip off the cupcake dress and run out the door in my underwear. The pastor began with a prayer. His voice sounded like a lullaby. Heavenly Father, we pray for your presence here as we gather to unite this man and woman in holy matrimony. I prayed too, or I tried to. My silver sandals tap danced on the stone floor. Tap, tap, tap. Mason peered at me again. Stop, not you too. My mind wandered back to the sandbox, our faces smudged with peanut butter and blackberry jam. I scooped sand into buckets while Mason planned the castle layout. Fill it higher, Charity, right to the top. Then I'll put water in it and it'll be cement for our tower. Cousin equals friend. I thought that was the rule. Tap, 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 tap. Not anymore. He looked back again. His eyes were hot laser beams. They shrank me to a puny guppy. Stop staring. I see all the pity stares. I see them even when people think I'm not looking. Define pity. A poison offered to another person as if it were a gift of pure gold. People feel better about their own lives by looking down on mine. That's my definition, not Webster's. Are you okay, honey? Mom asked. Even she could not predict that. I could not last 5 minutes. Pity poisons bubbled up inside me like steam rising in Graham's copper kettle. Mind tried to turn off the heat, but my hopeless body continued to percolate past its boiling point. Kettle explosion coming fast. Probability high. The pastor's voice droned on and on. My thumping heart set off a tremor inside my chest, stronger and stronger, a magnitude 8.6 earthquake. Page 111. The heart rate of a blue-throated hummingbird can reach 1,200 beats per minute. My hands squeezed the sea glass tight. My fists beat my shaking legs. Stay still, stay still. I gulped hard. You got this, you got this. Dad's voice called from a million miles away. Let's take a little walk, Cherry girl. Countdown to kettle explosion. 3, 2, 1. My hand yanked free of Dad's and hit Aunt Kiki in the head. Her feather hat flew off like a tiny frisbee. She shrieked. Dad scrambled to pick it up. When he moved, my body bolted into the aisle, jumping and clapping. My brain told my body to stop, but somewhere the wires short-circuited. My body did not obey. Jump, clap, jump, clap. I screamed at myself inside my head. Stop now, sit down. You are ruining everything. Everyone, forever. My legs jumped higher. What a relief to move. I could jump to the clouds. Misfire, misfire. Why can't my neurons talk to my muscles? Jump, clap, jump, clap. Mason's eyes popped out of his head. You wanted something to look at. How is this for you? Mom tried to grab my elbow. Hard to catch a moving target. Jump, clap, jump, clap. Page 83. A tree frog can jump 150 times its own length. I begged my mouth to stay shut, but I could not breathe. I gripped my neck, could not get air into my lungs. Then I breathed in sweet oxygen and exhaled an ear-smacking scream. Ah! All eyes on me. Elvie's white face, somehow now red as a baboon's butt. I tumbled down the aisle, my pink underwear in full view. Could this get any worse? At last, Dad scooped me off the floor and flew me out a superhero style. My voice moaned like a humpback whale. Wow! Page 312. Whales communicate using a complex language that scientists cannot yet understand. Mom read out the door with us and turned to offer an I'm sorry nod to the guests. I did not look at them, but I knew they were shaking their heads and whispering, "Those poor parents are saints." My name is Charity, and I'm a charity case. Someone that other people pity. It's right there in the name. All right, next chapter, Bert and Ernie. I think this one may have some triggers in it if it goes to her. Okay, no, not yet. But the chapter after that I will have to warn when I read it because it has some triggers that her school is not so nice to children. Bert and Ernie. My parents are as different as Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street. Mom, she is Bert, a whopper warrior and as serious as long division. Her brown flowing hair is always sensibly ponytailed, and by the end of her busy day, half fallen in her face. Her green eyes focus like four-eyed fish on her multiple tasks of helping me while still looking after Dad. Our dog Hero and the brick cottage we call home, exactly 0.3 miles from the bay. Page 73. The four-eyed fish has large, bulbous eyes divided into two parts that allow it to see above and below the water surface at the same time. No matter what the thinkers say, Mom and Dad always believed I could learn. Mom was a second grade teacher before I came along. She gave up her 25 students to focus all her energy on me, her class of one. The 2 hours before dinner she called homework time. I never got actual homework from school. They assumed I could not learn anything beyond cows go moo, pigs go oink. Every afternoon, though, Mom sat next to me at the kitchen table, laying out supplies, crayons, pencils, flashcards, puzzles, books. Then she would wrap a slender arm around my shoulder and steady my fingers to hold a pencil and draw letters. Our hands and arms worked in rhythm like Olympic ice dancers. Keep going, eyes on the page. You can do it. Even when I just sat doing a puzzle, Mom played educational TV shows, science shows, math videos. Aunt Elvie always had her pity look when she saw me watching videos on decimals or atoms or volcanoes. Come on, Gail. What makes you think she gets any of this? Mom stared her flat in the eyeballs. What makes you think she doesn't? Homework is not just for home. Wherever we went, Mom toted a beach bag sized purse full of activities so we could play matching games or look at flashcards in waiting rooms, restaurants, or between therapy appointments. In the car, she played audiobooks, and my hungry brain took in the data as eagerly as our bulldog Hero gobbled up liver treats. By age 3, I could read, thanks to Sesame Street and Mom's daily homework sessions. Mom would have been properly proud if she knew. I read signs and labels, newspaper headlines, and every book I could wrap my tiny hands around. My fidgety fingers liked feeling the pages and tearing them sometimes too. Sad to say, that made Mom put most books on a high shelf after reading them to me. The Amazing Kids Animal Encyclopedia was the first book she let me keep all to myself. I clung to it like a life preserver. Mom did everything she could to teach me, even though she had no evidence that it was strictly in my head or sticking in my head. Sitting right next to her with no way to communicate, I felt we were a million miles apart. Define frustration. Being told to do the same thing over and over and not being able to do it, even though I really, really wanted to, even though I understand how to, even though I did it once last week, but getting my body to cooperate was like teaching a hippo to tap dance. Dad, he is like Ernie from Sesame Street, happy and carefree. To him, I am just right. We could be twins, he joked whenever our faces smushed together for a selfie. He was a little right. We both had blue eyes, ringed with specks of grasshopper green. He calls me Princess Charity or Super Cherry or Cherry Girl, and he never treats me like I'm special. There's no such thing as a failure, only opportunities to learn. That's his annoying attitude when my body is a jiggly mass of cherry jello. Don't give up. Let's try it a different way. More than that, more than once, he has proved my messy body could learn. His lessons started when I was 2, according to the developmental milestones checklist that Mom laminated and posted on the fridge. I was supposed to be able to throw a ball by age 2. When I could not do it, she panicked big time. That's when Dad became my coach. Dad was a basketball star in high school. You were born to play ball, Cherry Girl, he told me. You're going to be our little hoop master. He started off by rolling a Nerf ball. I grabbed it and drooled on it, and Dad waited and waited and waited some more until I finally rolled it back. After a week of rolling, we moved on to throwing and catching, starting off with our hands and more and almost touching. He tossed me the ball. I watched it hit my belly and drop to the floor. Come on, Super Cherry, he cheered. He placed my hands on in the catching position. It's the fourth quarter, and we're down by 2. You gonna let 'em win? I probably lost about 1,000 imaginary games before finally he threw it and I caught it. Dad jumped and whooped all over the living room. Hero, he was just a puppy back then, barked in celebration. When I was 6, I was not able to take dance classes with other little girls. So Dad had the improbable idea to teach me ballet. My sixth sense told me he was trying to make up for the fact that I had almost no friends. Believe me when I say he is no dancer. Dad's dancing is all finger pointing and shaking his hips like a hula girl. He was serious about this. He made foot-shaped cutouts in different colors and taped them to the garage floor so I could see how to stand for each of the 5 positions. Instead of surfing on Saturday mornings, he inserted a Swan Lake CD into our old boombox and dressed in his usual Hawaiian shirt and flip-flops, practiced pliés and releves with me. Those are fancy ballet words for bending your knees and standing on your tiptoes. The music's racing violins and crashing cymbals made me feel I could leap to the clouds. My jumps flew my feet more than 5 inches off the ground. On warm days when the garage door stood open, we got big smiles from passing neighbors, especially kind Dr. Singh, a gray-haired lady who walked her beagle, Sadie, up and down the block twice a day. Now that she was retired. Good for you, young lady. I expect you will be a ballet star soon. Coach Dad launched an even bolder plan when I was 8 and way too big for my tricycle. I'm going to teach you to ride a bike, a genuine two-wheeler, Princess Charity, he announced one Saturday morning. Every princess needs a stallion. The thinker said I could never ride a bicycle. Never say never to my dad. He did not tell Mom about his plan, not right away. As safety sheriff of the house, she would have outlawed it. He waited for a day when Mom was shopping with Gran. Better ask for forgiveness than permission, he told me. Turns out Dad was a decent safety deputy too. It took him 20 minutes to suit me up in a helmet, elbow pads, double knee pads, and a pillow duct taped to my back. I bounced around like a multicolored marshmallow. When we got to the big empty parking lot at the high school, he opened the trunk and pulled out a brand new bike with a basket in front, purple metallic streamers on the handlebars, and 28 silver shiny spokes on each wheel. Your stallion, milady. My heart jumped into the sky. My hands clapped. He lifted me onto the seat and placed my hands and feet in position. Then I looked down. No training wheels. Let's begin with a slow trot. With one hand on the handlebar and one on the seat, he jogged the bike in a big circle. Pedal your feet. You can do it, Cherry. Dad pushed me for more than an hour till his t-shirt was soaked in sweat. Little by little, my feet got the idea to push down on the pedals. You got it, Cherry. Keep going. He took his hand off the handlebar and ran alongside with his hand on the seat to keep me steady. Ha ha! I knew you could do it. I noted his face stretched tight with a grin and my chest puffed up with pride. On my next lap, my feet pedaled a little faster. Dad let go of the seat and pretended to gallop beside me. Careful, honey, not too fast. Then my bulldog impulse took over. That's the part of me that acts on instinct instead of logic. I love my bulldog, Hero, but he barks at his own reflection and attacks the vacuum cleaner on a regular basis. My feet heard the word fast and shifted into hyperdrive. I started pushing the pedals quick and as a cheetah chasing prey. Push, push, push. Page 32, the fastest land animal, the cheetah, can run up to 75 miles an hour in short bursts. I sped along the black pavement, feeling the wind on my teeth because I could not stop smiling. For the first time in my life, I felt freedom, pure freedom. Push, push, push. Squeeze the brakes, Cherry. Squeeze your hands, Dad screamed, reached my ears. I guess brakes should have been lesson 1. My eyes focused forward. My mind screamed, danger, thorny bushes ahead. My hands could not grip the brakes. My brain hollered, stop. Probability of crashing, falling, bleeding, high. I squeezed my eyes shut and held my breath. A second later, I was on the ground. My shoulder stung from where it scraped branches. Dad lifted me up, breathing hard, his eyes full of fear. My poor Charity, my princess. It was all my fault. Are you okay, honey? He dusted the dirt and leaves off my jacket, his eyebrows scrunched together in worry. Let's get you home and make sure you're okay. I squirmed out of his arms and pulled my bike out of the bushes. With Dad's help, I quickly scanned its parts. The purple streamers, the white basket, the raspberry-colored seat, 28 silver shiny spokes on each wheel. Thank goodness it was still in one piece. I grabbed the handlebars and swung my leg over. Dad shook his head and wiped his forehead on his arm. No, honey, I think it's... My feet tried to pedal, but he held the handlebars tight. I pushed my legs hard as I could, and grunted like a wild boar. Grrrr! Dad's elbows jumped at the grin and a grin lit up his face. That's my girl, right back up on the horse. Yes, it did hurt, but I cannot stand pity, especially not from my dad. And that's the end of the chapter. So I read 2 chapters today. I won't always read 2 chapters, but I figured that would be good. I hope you like this book. Again, it was in honor of my family. All my families have autism. They don't suffer from autism. They just have autism. It's not a disease. It is something. It can be a disability at times. But it can also be something that helps your intelligence at times. My kids and my husband are extremely intelligent people. They do not have it like this girl. They can all speak very well and are well functioning and lower support needs and are able to do most things on their own, although sometimes they do need some extra help on some things. So, but, but I like to read this. I love this book because it gives you an idea of what goes on in the brain, and also an idea, the brain of somebody who can't necessarily tell you what's going on. And it's not just somebody with autism, it could be anybody um, that can't speak for themselves. So it's very, for that, I think it's very interesting. And there are some trigger warnings in this book. There is some amount of abuse, and there is that will be very angering, but stick with it. It does have a happy ending. That's all I'll say. I don't want to give any other spoilers, but there are some parts that are extremely upsetting, and I had to read them a little bit and having clenched fist going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And yes, it is still happening today, and it is something that we need to be aware of. So, and it's something that we need to educate ourselves. And books like this are really great, and they're really great for kids. Um, I read this to my daughter last year, and even though she has autism herself, one, it was relatable to her because she understood some of the things that this girl went through. She could relate to having to struggle sometimes, and not be understood, even though you should be able to be understood, but it's hard when you can't be understood. But and she's 10, so I wouldn't recommend it for young children, but she's 10. She was able to read it, and there were times she got upset, she got mad and go, why did they do this? And and say, having to explain it to her sometimes as a mom. So I think this is a good book for adults and grade school kids alike, especially if your child might be struggling with something like autism or ADHD or some other disability. I have ADHD, and like I said, my husband and my kids all have autism and ADHD. So, it's an eye opener, and I like that. Sometimes it's good to read books that really open your eyes to things. Sometimes it's great to read books that escape, but Ken, this is where I'm starting, and then we'll move on to something else that might be a little lighter. So, thank you. Bye.